Hey, welcome back to our final week of our series, and we come to the end of the story of Job. And I said from the beginning that while each week stands on its own, it's probably best to think of this as a 5-part docuseries in which we keep adding pieces to the story to give us the full picture. Now, I don't know about you, but I've had a lot to think about, some things to wrestle with, and even some decisions to make because of what we've experienced here. I mean, we've walked through all of the painful things that have happened to Job in his life, and when we say he lost everything, he literally lost everything. Like, we took a peek into the spiritual world that invades the physical world that Job was unaware of. We've seen how his friends counseled him in good ways and then in some really bad ways. And we considered all the bad assumptions that Job and his friends made about him, the world, and God in their quest to answer the question, why was all of this happening? Well, today we're finally going to hear from God for the very first time, and I would encourage you to take a few minutes either as a group or on your own and read the entire section from chapter 38 to 42. Now, after all the questions and all the conversations and hypothesizing, God speaks. And when he speaks, his approach with Job is to ask questions. Somewhere between 50 and 80 questions, depending on how you're counting and what you're reading. And God's questions weren't necessarily designed to be answered, right? His questions were really an emphatic statement to demonstrate his control over the entire universe. And as a way of leading Job to then see, okay, if God was creator and in control of things that Job couldn't understand, then maybe he could be trusted to have control over Job's life too. What Job finally comes to realize is that you and I are incapable of handling these problems on our own. He has this amazing moment of clarity in the final chapter where he essentially says, listen, I knew things about you. I thought I had an understanding of you, but now I have had a first-hand experience with the Most High God. It is precisely here when Job finally gives up trying to defend himself and justify himself and even figure it all out. When he finally acknowledges God as the creator and the one in control, finally then God begins to heal him and bless him. Now, when it comes to the waves of pain and suffering, right, the trouble and the difficulty, I want to suggest that maybe we start to ask a different question. When we see and experience that wave, what if we asked this? What have you come to teach me? Now, that's not a question Job ever asks, and it's not the question we typically have in the forefront of our minds, but if it's true, right, that Jesus said, in this world you will have trouble, like that's a guarantee. Maybe we'll never know the reason that we have trouble in our life, but that doesn't mean that there can't be a result from the trouble in our life. In other words, our trials don't have to be pointless. Now, in the message this past Sunday, I walked through some scriptures in the New Testament book of James who talks about Job. And I gave a couple of questions you can ask to help determine what kind of result God might want to bring about through your pain and suffering. Here they are. Number 1, what is being done to me? In other words, be honest about the pain you are experiencing. Can you actually name it? Can you put it into words? Maybe even write it down somewhere. Question 2 is, what is being done in me? In other words, how is this moment or this season changing me, hopefully for the better, right? Am I becoming a better version of me? And then the third question was, what is being done through me? How is God maybe using my story and my faith and my courage to inspire someone else? See, we can be pushed out to sea, we can be pushed under the sea, or we can be pushed up against the rock of ages. And while none of us would likely ever choose to go through the pain, on the other side, sometimes we can learn and grow and see something about ourselves and about God. See, I believe, and I think Job's story confirms it, if we allow them, the waves in our life can indeed move us towards the loving and gracious and compassionate and strong hand of God. When that happens, we will have learned to let those waves throw us up against the Rock of Ages. Amen.